Identity politics is defined as a tendency for people of a particular religion, race, social background, etc. to form exclusive political alliances, moving away from traditional broad-based party politics. How do you feel identity politics were employed in the 2016 presidential election? For my final project in my African American Studies 498 course on intersectionality, I decided to interview my friends for their takes on Donald Trump and identity politics. Identity politics is a much maligned subject, with criticisms ranging from the right, who utilize terms such as gay agenda and race card, even to the left, with scholars such as Paula M. L. Moya. She criticizes essentialist conceptions of identity as positing one single aspect of identity as the sole factor that shapes one's individual experience. Keep that in mind, as my friends talk about—
Can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Fuck the notion of identity politics as something that's irrelevant in the first place, and fuck party politics in the second place.
I mean, I guess both sides used them to an extent.
I think they were employed on both sides.
Hillary, as much as I didn't like her, was more inclusive, you know. She tried. She reached out to more communities.
They backfired, I think, in Hillary Clinton's campaign a lot, and they've just continued to divide the left even further.
Like, if you want social progress, then you must be liberal or Democrat. If your primary focus is on the economy and gun control and religious matters, or like lack of gun control, TBH, then you must be a conservative or Republican.
That's the Democratic platform, is they're supposedly the side of the minority. Mm-hmm. So she reached out to a lot of minority groups, whereas the other side was like, hey, you know what's cool? White people. White people are pretty chill. There's a lot of them. We get them to vote.
While Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are very different people, they occupy a lot of the same identities. So the biggest one is obvious. She's a woman, he's a man, but I mean, they're both white. Both never really grew up like in hard conditions. Straight, cis.
A lot of people think, like, including like Hillary Clinton, who tried her best to like side with intersectional members of the Democratic Party. It didn't work as well because she was trying to be something she was not. It didn't work for her because like that base doesn't see her as that. Like,
so why pick on poor Hillary Clinton? Because even though she might not be the most corrupt, she is a symbol of that corruption. Here she is. She's a living embodiment of the establishment, the status quo, this system that the whole country believes has been corrupted.
Many people, when they think about identity politics, they think about Black individuals coming together to support a certain candidate or a certain type of ideals to push for what benefits that community. The same thing with the LGBTQ community coming together and pushing for equal rights and equality on all levels. In the 2016 presidential election, we saw something different. We saw identity politics being used for the majority, for the non-marginalized groups, for straight cisgender white people.
We usually think of identity politics as being like a progressive and kind of leftist thing, but now there's this whole like identity thing forming around like the alt-right and neo-Nazis, aka white supremacists and nationalists.
When you appeal to a certain group of people that feel like they've been like really left out, it's easier to almost unite people on shared aspects of identity than it is like shared opinions in a way. Like
a lot of white people who like feel like white people and other minorities have gotten more prevalent in the past decade are frustrated because they feel like through intersectionality, people are being pushed out.
The press has clearly decided to double down and wage war against the legitimacy of Trump and the continued existence of white America. America was, until this past generation, a white country designed for ourselves and our posterity. It is our creation. It is our inheritance, and it belongs to us.
What is it that you think people mean when they talk about the race card?
The race card, I hate that term. Like,
why?
Because I've had people act like, oh, you're playing the race card. My identity is not a card to play.
A lot of people start trying to delegitimize arguments by saying that you're just that you're just trying to play the race card.
When black women and white women were asked how frequently they think about their race, white women responded never, or very infrequently, and black women responded every day or multiple times a day. When someone says, oh, you're playing the race card, maybe it seems like that to them because they never have to consider their race because their race is the default, right? And when I say someone, I mean someone who is white.
What's the gay agenda?
Literally, my to-do list is the gay agenda, okay? I am queer. Everything I do is part of the gay agenda. I'm just trying to live my life, okay?
If there's a gay agenda, I have not gotten the newsletter in a long time about it, which is unfortunate because I'd like to be part of this agenda.
And part of that involves running into things that are problems because of who I am as a person. That's the gay agenda, literally. And so you take that, apply it to larger issues. That's all we're trying to do is solve problems that literally every queer person is going to come in contact with.
The gay agenda is to get married and go to work and not be hated and discriminated against. Is that hard to get behind? They want personal freedoms.
They think it's just oh, they just want to get married. No, you can get fired for being gay in a lot of states. You can be kicked out of your house. You can be denied a lot of things just because of who you love, or who you're attracted to.
I think that when people talk about the race card or the gay agenda, whatever group you want to single out, those people that point that out are usually cis straight white people. And they're usually doing so because they believe that who they are and how they live is what's normal or right or American. They've been conditioned to believe that.
Being reminded of those differences make people uncomfortable because they like to think that they got there regardless of their whiteness, that they have this power regardless of the fact that they're cis and they're straight.
A lot of marginalized groups are criticized for identity politics when the unifying factor for all of the Trump supporters was race.
He did a really good job of making people forget that they're intersectional, that you don't only have one identity, right? I'm a female, I'm Latina, I'm biracial.
A lot of his supporters voted against their interests, entirely against their interests.
But a lot of people voted for him that weren't white men or women, or that if they were white, they were gay.
People who are actually poor, people who were on the Affordable Care Act, women, the white gays. A lot of people completely shoved their own rights under the bus for the sake of white supremacy.
Why are you terrified of the Trump presidency?
Okay, so a Trump presidency is absolutely terrifying in every aspect.
A lot of times it's putting kind of the economy or their perception of the economy ahead of the welfare and being of people like me.
The bomb threats for Jewish community centers, a synagogue in Indiana was hit with bullets.
He's gonna roll back. He's already rolled back on certain trans protections. He's gonna roll back further things. He has stated that he would be okay with turning over the gay marriage Supreme Court thing.
Immediately when he was elected, we were crying the whole next day because we were what about marriage equality? He gets elected and we're wait, are we going to lose this before we can even take advantage of it?
Immigration's scary too. That's something that directly affects my family, so that's fun.
When people talk about the Muslim registry or whatever, there was a Muslim registry, I was on it. People don't really know what's happening.
I don't want to avoid talking about how it's terrifying to other people.
Exactly.
Rather than just how it's terrifying to me. But I've never personally felt like it hit so many intersections of myself before. I've never felt so personally targeted. The Southern Poverty Law Center reporting on increased number of hate groups even within our own city.
It's this one man in Kentucky shot 2 men of Indian descent, one fatally, because he assumed that they were Muslim because of how they look.
And if things like this can just be written off and we can turn back voting rights even further and deport tons of undocumented people, or even people who are documented.
The rest, okay, immigration. I guess I'm worried about immigration, especially.
Trump making executive orders to ban people from the country, tearing families apart.
Well, the EPA is like tanking now, so
Yeah, 70% of their
so like
budget
literally
is
we're all
get
gonna
cut.
die. All the animals.
And that's not even like targeting certain people, it's targeting everybody. So like, great job, everyone.
Yeah.
My biggest concern is about like his approach to environmental policies in the United States. He has no care whatsoever about them, and that worries me.
He's destroying the environment. I mean, the dude wants to use coal. It's 2017. No one uses fucking coal. What are you doing? He's already overturned the Keystone thing.
Like, they're gonna do a lot of things with like defunding, just like things that will help women, and most of this stuff is not just about abortion.
And I am very worried about my women folk, and then really anyone with a uterus who could potentially need an abortion. I'm worried about them too. Actually, especially people who don't identify as women who have a uterus, because that is also a dangerous situation to be in right now.
So he's definitely actively trying to get rid of the ACA. There was a lot of things that were wrong with it, but it helped more than it hurt, right?
The racist white people who voted, racist, misogynist, whatever people who voted for him, still a little concerned for them too, because a lot of them are about to lose their health insurance. I'm basically worried about everyone except the rich people. Fuck them. Because they might be the only ones who actually will benefit from this.
When you focus only on like one identity in particular and you don't look at it from like an intersectional perspective, like you lose a lot of really important perspectives.
The suppression of them, or the structural oppression of them, goes hand in hand, right? Bell Hooks is, and I know you, and Bell Hooks are not.
She's right about that one.
Or imperialist, white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchy, right? And then on Twitter, the Trudes, adds imperialist, white supremacist, capitalist, cis heteropatriarchy, right?
And then, there are the smaller groups on that side where you're quote unquote alt-right, your KKK, your neo-Nazi parties. The thing that really bothers me about it is that the Trump campaign and the Trump administration has made really no deterrent against that. I mean, I would have been disgusted had he been like, "Yep, I'm glad I have them on my side." I've been like, "All right," but he didn't really go like, "Well, I don't want them on my. I'm not their candidate. I'm the candidate of the working man," which whatever that means.
Trump is a threat because all of these things link back to white supremacy, and that's what he represents, right? So for me personally, I know that so long as it's okay to oppress a group of people, I'm always at risk.
Make America great again. Great for who? Because for black people, for gay people, America's kind of always been bad.
As my friends have explained, many of Donald Trump's most active supporters united on one single basis: race. But the ills that are to come, as well as those that already have, are numerous. Many groups, even beyond those who are racially oppressed, stand to lose so much. Lower income people who are on the Affordable Care Act, transgender individuals whose rights to use the restroom were protected under Obama administration directives, undocumented people put at risk by ICE raids, Jewish people who are experiencing anti-Semitic harassment and intimidation, queer folks whose marriages could be nullified with the stroke of a politician's pen, Muslim and brown people affected by the Muslim ban, and so many more. Stand with your community, but stand with those outside of your community as well. It's going to be a long 4 years.